Just over 3 weeks until Britain leaves the European Union, the Prime Minister hosting the new President of the European Commission. She's speaking at the LSE.
Spent here opened my eyes. I got to know a warm, vibrant, colourful, multicultural society, the likes of which I had never experienced before. I saw people from different walks of life going out together, enjoying life, breathing freedom. I immersed myself in the melting pot of cultures, traditions, and music indeed, and I truly fell in love with this city and this country. This country, strong-willed, open-minded, big-hearted, proud and patriotic, kind and generous in spirit, full of traditions, full of contradictions too. And it took me a while to understand, for example, the fantastic sense of humor of the British people, and that there is a subtle meaning hidden in every sentence. But this only deepened my fascination and my admiration for the United Kingdom, which remains as strong today as it was back then. And you can imagine that in the period just before and after the referendum, I thought a lot about my London time. I say this just not only because of my love for this country, but also because of what the United Kingdom has brought to Europe and the European Union. In a very understated British way, I think we do not always talk enough about that, and therefore allow me to look a little bit back before we look forward. Before the ashes of the Second World War even settled, it was Winston Churchill who made the best case for a united Europe. I read out passages from his 1946 Zurich speech, a famous speech, the last time I was here. It is the most eloquent and powerful case for the European Union you could ever wish to read, and if you haven't read it, I can only recommend to do so. And while the UK initially chose to be on the outside, it eventually took its place on the inside, making us both that much stronger. The relationship may not always have been smooth or perfect, but what relationship ever is? And in my opinion, the good far outweighs the difficult. As President of the European Commission, I want to pay tribute today to all those British people who contributed so much to the 45-plus years of European Union membership. I think of the British pragmatism and leadership when it came to opening up our union to members of our family who have been out in the cold for so long. The successive European Union enlargements were historic steps for our continent, and they bear British hallmark. I think of those who helped to build our institutions, people like Commissioner Arthur Cockfield, who was known as the father of the single market. Or Roy Jenkins, he was president of the European Commission while I was at LSE, who did so much to pave the way for our single currency. I think of the European civil servants of British nationality who devoted their lives and their careers to Europe and have done so much to build our union. They will always be part of our family. I think of the British servicemen and servicewomen who have helped to keep the peace from the Balkans to the Baltics. And I think of the millions of ordinary British people who have taken to the streets in pro-European marches in the last few years. Of course, this is one of them. Of course, indeed, for them and for many millions more, the results of the referendum was a bitter pill to swallow. But it is people who make politics, and the decision of the British people in June 2016 was clear. As much as we regret it, The European Union has always fully respected that decision. You have seen this throughout the last 3.5 years. Our negotiations were hard and they were long, but the European Union negotiated in good faith, trying to find solutions that defend our own interests and respect the UK's choice. It is an agreement that we negotiated with our people and the integrity of the European Union in mind. It is one that preserves the remarkable peace and progress on the island of Ireland over the past 20 years. And I will not go into the ins and outs of the negotiations on the divorce. This is done and dusted as far as I am concerned. Before the end of the month, I expect both the British and the European Parliaments to ratify the agreement. And so in just over 3 weeks, on the 31st of January, the UK will spend its last day as a member state. This will be a tough and emotional day. But when the sun rises again on February 1st, the European Union and the United Kingdom will still be the best of friends and partners. The bonds between us will still be unbreakable. We will still contribute to each other's societies, like so many Brits have done in the European Union, and as so many EU citizens do here every single day, whether as teachers or as nurses, as doctors, whether working as CEOs or in NGOs. We will still have a lot to learn from each other. The UK is home to thriving creative and cultural sectors, to cutting-edge digital innovation and scientific excellence, in some of the world's best universities with brilliant minds, many of them from all across Europe. We will still share the same challenges, from climate change to security. We will still be allies and like-minded partners in NATO, the United Nations, and other international organizations. We will still share the same values and the belief that democracy, freedom, and the rule of law must be the foundation of our societies. We will still share the same history and geography, and whatever happens, our continent will still share the same destiny too. So as one door will unfortunately close, another one will open. And now is the time for us to look forward together. It is the time for the best and the oldest friends to build a new future together. And as only true friends can, I want to be very honest about what lies ahead of us. During the withdrawal agreement negotiation, there was always the uncertainty around whether Brexit would happen or not. It was an uncertainty that made the negotiations inevitably tense. This fresh negotiation ahead of us will take place against the backdrop of clarity and mutual interest in making it work. The European Union is ready to negotiate a truly ambitious and comprehensive new partnership with the United Kingdom. We will make as much as we can. We will go as far as we can. But the truth is that our partnership cannot and will not be the same as before. And it cannot and will not be as close as before, because with every choice comes a consequence. With every decision comes a trade-off. Without the free movement of people, you cannot have the free movement of capital, goods, and services. Without a level playing field on environment, labor, taxation, and state aid, you cannot have the highest quality access to the world's largest single market. The more divergence there is, the more distant the partnership will be. And without an extension of the transition period beyond 2020, you cannot expect to agree on every single aspect of our new partnership. We will have to prioritize. The European Union's objective in the negotiations are clear. We will work for solutions that uphold the integrity of the European Union, its single market, and its customs union. There can be no compromise on that. But we are ready to design a new partnership with zero tariffs, zero quotas, zero dumping, a partnership that goes well beyond trade, and it is unprecedented in scope. Everything from climate action to data protection, fisheries, energy, transport, space, financial services, and to security. And we are ready to work day and night to get as much done within the time frame we have. None of this means that it will be easy. But we start this negotiation from a position of certainty, goodwill, shared interests and purpose. And we should be optimistic. We need to be optimistic. We need to be optimistic for those young people leaving school in the next years who want to study and learn abroad. We need to be optimistic, and we need to look to how British and European researchers could work together to find solutions of our most pressing challenges and to develop the new technologies the world does really need. And we must ensure that we continue to work together on upholding peace and security in Europe and around the world. We must build a new, comprehensive security partnership to fight cross-border threats, ranging from terrorism to cybersecurity to counterintelligence. Events in recent years in Salisbury, Manchester, London, and all across Europe have underlined the need for us to work together on mutual security. The threat of terrorism is real, and we have to share the necessary information and intelligence between the European Union and the United Kingdom to stop terrorists from crossing borders and attacking our way of life. The nature of today's threats means that no one can deal with these challenges on its own. This is even more true for foreign policies, as we see today, even though Britain will be outside the European decision-making structures. There will be plenty of need for common responses to address foreign, security and development challenges near and far, be it in our immediate neighbourhood in the east and south, or in the Horn of Africa, Sahel, Sub-Saharan Africa, or be it in wider Middle East or different parts of Latin America or Asia. The truth is that Brexit will not resolve any of the existing challenges for the European Union nor for the UK. And even being apart and not bound in the treaties, it will require intensive cooperation on our foreign and security policies. That's essential. That's essential because we share so much experience and because we share so many of the same values. We have to uphold these values, not only when it's easy, but above all, when it's hard. Dear friends, as we embark on this new partnership with the United Kingdom, the European Union must also continue to forge its own path in today's world. One consequence of the Brexit vote has been to strengthen the unity and the faith in Europe as a project for the common good. The truth is that Brexit has highlighted the value of being together in today's ever more unsettled world. It reaffirmed our collective belief that we can do more when we do it together. Individually, the nations of Europe are becoming smaller and less influential on the world scale. In 1950, before the Union was formed, the United Kingdom, Italy, and Germany were among the 10 most populous countries in the world. 1950. Today, only one lifespan later, only one of those is in the top 20. And while Europe's population is set to decline by the end of the century, Africa's alone will grow by more than 3 billion. At the same time, new economies are emerging, and old partners are retreating back to their own path. And we face change and new challenges ahead of us. Climate change, for example. If there is one area where the world needs our leadership, it is on protecting our climate. It is existential for Europe and for the whole world. Last month we launched the European Green Deal. The European Green Deal is not only about emissions, it's also about emissions, but not only about emissions. It's about boosting innovation. It's about clean technologies. It's about green financing. It's about quality food. It's about modern mobility. The European Green Deal is our new growth strategy, and it will create new businesses and markets in Europe and across the world. The novelty and the difference is that we will and can foster a growth model that is not consuming or extracting, but one that gives back more to the planet than it takes away from the planet. Great Britain is as dedicated as the European Union when it comes to addressing climate change and taking global leadership. A whole continent has to mobilize, and the whole world needs to be part of this transformation. The European Green Deal won't happen overnight, and it will be demanding, and no country can hope to handle climate change alone. But if this is the right thing to do, and if we do it together, we can lead the change. Dear students, over the next months and years, we will have to loosen some of the threads which have been carefully stitched together between the European Union and the United Kingdom over 5 decades. And as we do so, we will have to work hard to weave together a new way forward. I say this because Brexit does not only mark the end of something. On the contrary, it also marks a new phase in an enduring partnership and friendship. It will be a partnership for your generation, and I count on you all to make it a success. You can choose collaboration over isolation. You can shape your continent's destiny. You can hold your governments accountable. You can refuse to be satisfied with the status quo. And you can turn things into how they should be. I know the last few years have been difficult and divisive. I hope that by being constructive and ambitious in the upcoming negotiation, we can all move forward together. There will be tough talks, and each side will do what is best for them. But I can assure you that the United Kingdom will always have a trusted friend and partner in the European Union. This is the story of old friends and new beginning, and in this good sense, long live Europe. Thank you.
Well, some tough love from the new President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. A very different approach from that, perhaps, of her predecessor, Jean-Claude Juncker. Spent 5 years in the UK and the US, and you can hear that in her excellent English, which she was using to talk about the beginning of a new type of relationship between the European Union and the UK, with references not least to the deal, the trade deal that